My name is Juan, and I have my research paper on the research paper, a research question on to what extent will the AB 32 Global Warming Solution Act affect the economy. And the main points that I was basing my paper on was the utility services, how it would affect businesses, and real estate markets. And some of the pros that come from the AB 32 law would be that the increasing overall gross state product will increase by $7 billion, and it will increase per capita by $200 million. It will also benefit small businesses because it will lower the expenses they would have to pay for some utilities. So it would also lead to more businesses coming into the country and increasing the economy. And some of the cons were that there was going to be an increase of up to 60% in electricity prices, up to a 57% increase in national gas prices, and an additional increase of $50,000 per home, 2 homes. And there's also going to be lots of jobs, but this is kind of countered by the AB 32 law because it's also going to create new green jobs. And I'm basically on the side of AB 32 law, and I think it's a good law that's going to benefit the economy, and it's also going to benefit the environment.
My name is Estrada, and I am working on genetically modified foods is my topic, and whether or not they're harmful to either the environment, economy, and to our health. Well, what genetically modified foods are foods that have been gene spliced, which are example would be taking some certain parts of a gene from one fruit or plant and implanting it into another gene to make it better, either make it bigger or more nutrient or harder, more durability and harsher weather or things like that. And there's pros and cons to making these types of foods. The cons are that people aren't certain what the negative health effects of these foods can be. Some people are afraid that integrating different types of nutrients and genes into the same type of fruit can be harmful to people's health, as in it could get them sick, it could get them the flu because of all the pesticides used to help grow them. Another thing is, one of the main things people are worried about concerning health is allergicity, meaning people can get allergic to foods that they were never allergic before. For example, they could get one certain type of nut and implant those genes into another type of nut that someone else wasn't allergic to, and they might have an allergic reaction just because they had to use a different one gene from the other nut into the other one. And another thing that for environmental con is people are afraid that BT from corn, the pesticides used to kill the insects, can spread and kill other insects from neighboring habitats. The third thing is the economy. People are afraid that it costs too much. Doing all the research and perfecting everything, it would just be too costly, and it's not worth actually producing all those foods because people aren't really positive that they're not bad for you. The pros, however, I think outweigh the cons. Cons are, from what I believe, from policy research or non-thorough research, they don't cause diseases like cancer. Anything that you eat won't necessarily be bad for you. These types of food are about as dangerous as regular organic types of food, according to the research that I've done. They can be twice as full of nutrients as the other plants, and they're really cheap and really easy to make because you can grow them any time of the year, whatever the climate is or however the weather is. They could be bigger, and it's basically you can feed a lot more people with them, which is good, and for people who don't have that much money, it saves money. And they're actually very useful for a health factor. The genetically modified organisms help with the creation of insulin, a very important medicine that we have today. And I believe we should use them because they're cheap and they're not really environmentally damaging, and they're good for you.
Okay, I did my research paper on should NASA be funded in our economic crisis. And the pros to this issue is that NASA is a great program that explores the universe so we can better understand our world. It also looks more into the natural resources for Earth to sustain us for years to come. NASA also works into new technologies to not only expand our capabilities, but to also better ourselves. An example of these new technologies is that they are helping with the medical scientists to help better our air quality. And also, they help get us new natural resources later for when they sent a bomb to the moon, and that would help us get more water, basically. Now, the cons are that NASA is costing us billions of dollars, and that NASA makes more failed experiments than they actually make one successful one. And all our money just goes down the drain when that happens. There aren't many limitations in NASA, so their spending goes up and up. And also, an example of this would be the shuttles. The shuttles cost around $1 million, and there are many failed shuttles. They don't even reach their mission, and they just explode. And that's just $1 million down the drain. In conclusion, I say that we should cut back or stop funding NASA until we can get back on our feet. And we need to focus on our economy right now because we are in a recession. This solution is not only for the people struggling, but it's also for NASA's sake.
And I did my research paper on the question, should an Islamic mosque be built near the World Trade Center? And there's two views on this topic. Many believe that the opposing view was mainly the family members of 9/11 victims and people that were just upset with the Islamic mosque being near Ground Zero, because to them it's disrespectful, and to them Ground Zero is sacred land, and they felt that it being 2 blocks away is unnecessary and just shouldn't be there. To the family members of the victims, it's also the closest thing they have to seeing their family members, like to respect them and go visit them. And they also felt that it should be moved farther away. And on the side that approved it was mainly government officials like Obama and the mayor of New York City. They argue that since the mosque isn't really on Ground Zero, also they think it should be allowed because they should have their own freedom of religion, which is basically the main argument, is denying them the freedom of their religion would be like a violation of the Constitution. And what I think is that it's not necessary for there to be another mosque in New York City, and especially not near the memorial, since there already are more than 100 mosques in New York City.
My name is Josh Bolstad, and my research paper was on effects of ozone depletion on Antarctica. There are a couple of sides on this view, and a couple of them were that ozone depletion negatively affected and melted the Antarctica ice shelf, and then the other one was that human had caused ozone depletion and were the overall effects of ice shelf melture. And then the last one was that the ozone depletion was actually increasing the ice buildup in Antarctica. My view on this was that the third one was Antarctica ice shelves are actually increasing, because there are a lot of examples, including the Larsen B ice shelf, that shows that these ice caps are actually improving in the mass quantities, and that the ozone depletion is actually cooling down Antarctica and the surroundings of it.